everybody. Sorry, that was a little bit of a stretch.
You sounded
Sorry.
like so Mickey Mouse.
I'm
Hi,
like
everybody.
I'm like half ready for this at the moment. If I would have had like 30 more seconds, I would have been prime. So we're gonna start in 30 seconds. Go. No,
What
just
the
joking.
heck?
We're not gonna start in 30 seconds. I'm Josiah, as you all know. I mean, I don't know who else I'd be. But Amy's back.
Yeah.
It's been, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, about
Something like
2
that?
weeks.
About 2 weeks? So
It's been
that's awesome.
It's been a hot minute. I think I was it was a lot of busyness with school, and so I've been focused on that and on school, on that and school, back and forth. So yeah, that is my life. So now I'm back in the flesh, running, thriving, living my best life.
Living your best life.
Just like how we do. But yeah. So I'm excited because today is the day we get to announce the winner.
Yes, you're right.
This most amazing, Bluetooth headphones
Yeah.
that everyone's been wanting to interact with.
I know.
So-
I'm going to do one last promo of them. There's these sick Jabra Elite Active 65T
It's just
right there. There we go. These sweet Bluetooth headphones. They're great. They fit in your ear really nicely. Are we just going to have a really close up to my face? Okay. They're great. They fit in your ear really nicely. They're Bluetooth. They got like 5 hours of battery, 15 hours with the case. So basically you just charge them overnight and you got them good for like the entire day. So that's awesome. And how can you win these? Well, you can win them by interacting with us. And this is the last day to interact. Oh, I'm not big on the screen. Awesome. It's the last day to interact with us. So if you want to win these or have a chance of winning these, shoot us some comments on what we're talking about. Ask us some questions over the Devo. It's going to be an awesome Devo today because, I mean, we're only talking about the greatest of subjects.
the
Sex.
most lovely
Yeah. Like, you
Of
know the song,
subjects.
like, let's talk about sex.
baby.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Let's talk about
I think you guys did it for the promo.
I did, yeah. I did use it for the
So
promo.
I'm super stoked talking about sex. Sorry?
Josh is singing along with us. That's his jam.
Josh is singing along with us? Okay. I mean, this isn't a subject I talk about every day. And we're going to talk about porn. And, like, what does the Bible have to say about this? And all that stuff. So, ask us questions. And, I should also say, if you don't feel comfortable asking questions on YouTube, ask it on our Instagram. DM us, you know? It doesn't have to be, like, public. And it's not like we're going to be like, so-and-so told, like, Amy asked, what is sex? We're not going to say it. We're going to be like, oh, that's a good question. Somebody asked, what is sex? You know? I mean, that was just an example. So if you need to know, ask your parents. But we're going to be talking about that tonight. So, yeah. So, what is sex?
You sure that's how you want to start that?
No, that is definitely not how I want to start that. We got our token married couple, Carter and Amy.
Wow, 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 wow.
And fun fact, we were originally planning on talking about this last week, but Amy dipped on us.
Yep, that's what happens when you
Uh-huh.
have school. And
No,
you
just
have
joking.
another life.
She was busy, so we gave her a week off. She had a week off. I mean, not from all of her work, just from this. So Carter joined me last week, and that was super awesome.
Sure did.
Yeah, you did. So yeah. Well, I guess let's
Let's get on to this
dive
conversation.
dive right into this conversation about sex and porn.
Yay. Love it.
So, I mean, we've talked about porn here at youth before, and I find like a lot of the time it's like, how can I stop watching porn? Or like, the question is like, why is porn bad? I mean, we all like at some point hear from like church, oh yeah, you shouldn't be watching porn. It's not good. It's a sin. Or like sex before marriage, it's a sin. And like, that's not good. Which, to be fair, is right. They're not wrong in saying like sex before marriage isn't good. But it's just like, why isn't good? Or why isn't it good? Why is porn bad? Like, what does God even have to say about porn? Porn's not even in the Bible. Like there is no word pornography found in the Bible. So like, how is it a sin? You know? And so that's kind of what we're going to be exploring today. And I'm like super stoked for this. And I don't know exactly how this is going to go. But like I said, I'm super stoked. I do have notes. So more so like notes on like certain things more than others. But yeah. And like, I don't want this to be like an uncomfortable discussion. Like we're not, like I said earlier, we're not gonna call anybody out on anything. This isn't to call anybody out on anything. None of our devos are really like pointed towards anybody. It's just like, this is just a great topic to talk about, and something that I think we don't talk about enough actually as a church. And historically we've kind of like skirted over the subject, but like, this is like pornography and sex. That's a huge topic amongst like youth and like the next generation and stuff. And so I'm going to kind of define a little bit what each thing is, because there is like a couple people kind of misconstrue what exactly constitutes sex and porn. Like, some people will say porn is just something that's sexually explicit, or like something that just is where people are nude. But like, porn is anything intended to get somebody sexually aroused. So it doesn't even have to be like two naked people. It could be like, a description of something sexual with the intention of turning somebody on sexually or sexually arousing somebody, or it can be like two naked people having sex. I mean, like in a video or something like that. And so like, for example, in a TV show where there's people having sex and the intention is to draw people in with a sexual encounter, that is still, I mean, I would just consider that porn. It's utilizing sex to draw people in, to get people interested in something, and that's the purpose behind it. There's no other purpose. But that's what I'm going to define porn as. And premarital sex is when people have sex before marriage. And sex would be anything to do with genitalia. I don't know, penis and vagina.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to skirt around those words. Penis, vagina. Look, there we go.
It's out of the way.
It's been said here first, folks.
It's out of the way now.
So, defining that. Now, what does God have to say about these things? Or like, because the Bible has a lot to say about like sex. The Bible has a lot to say about lust and wanting something that we shouldn't have. And this is kind of funny, because I was thinking about it earlier today. It's kind of funny, we talked about worship last week. This is a little bit of not an off-topic thing, but a little rabbit hole thing. We talked about worship last week, and like, weirdly enough, it totally pertains to the subject as well. Like, I don't know, because worship is a response to God, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but marriage is intended to show, or to be like, marriage is often used as a metaphor for the relationship between God and the church, between Christ and his bride, you know? Grooms and brides, once they get married, tend to have sex. Sorry if I appear to be jumping around, probably because I'm nervous. I get a little bit nervous talking about these things. I don't talk about it very much.
Well, it's a thing to be talking about. So.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, ask us. We're obviously sex experts. So I feel like I just got a face palm from back there. I don't know.
Yes, please don't ask us.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you guys think of what what I've been talking about so far in terms of like the defining things and whatnot? Not the fact that we're sex experts.
definitely not a sex expert.
No, it's good. I think it's very accurate to what it really is, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, a lot of people are going to view it as like, oh, it's just two naked people or one naked person or whatever, but they don't realize the implications of other things that are designed
Yeah.
to arouse you, right? Like a novel can be pornography.
Yeah.
It can just be the words on the page.
Or like visualization and imagination.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Fantasy stuff.
Because it's like you never really think about that. Like, just like imagining things and like fantasizing about a certain person or situation, especially without their consent. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, let's say I wasn't married to Carter and I was fantasizing about him. It's just like, that's like violating him in a weird, like in a very weird way. Because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, like you wouldn't like go up to someone and be like, oh yeah, I imagine you and I together. Like, you don't.
I mean, you could. It might not end well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't end well. Like you just don't do that, and it's just like it's just kind of like it's just a weird thing because like the things that you wouldn't expect as porn, it would be classified as porn. Like just even a novel, fantasizing, like even just like like to me, I didn't even think that like watching like certain shows, like let's say Game of Thrones, there's a lot of like sexual content on there, and as well as violence, but there's a lot of sexual content on there, and you know, I never even thought that could be a type of pornography there because there's just a lot going on. And you know, it entices people to watch it, and it entices people to keep watching it, and it's just it's weird because you never really would think about that. People just think that, you know, Googling something is porn, and that's just that. It's like, no, it's way beyond that. It's like such a broad scope, and no one even knows it, which is weird. I don't know. I digress.
Yeah, I think like, no, I totally agree with you guys. And before we kind of like go forward, in line with like defining things, I want to define God's view of sex and God's view of marriage and what He intends it to be before we kind of go into like what it's not intended to be. Because I feel like when we have a proper picture of something, it helps us understand what's improper. I mean, something that's commonly said is like when a banker or a bank teller learns how to spot like a fake bill, they actually study the real thing so that when they look at a fake, it's like, oh, it's missing these qualities, you know? And same thing with like God's plans, God's purpose. When we study His like real thing, quote unquote, we're able to see what's the fake, what's not His plan, what's not His purpose, and what's not His intention. So kind of look at what that is. And God describes marriage as, like, in the Old Testament, as when a man leaves his father and mother and goes and cleaves to his wife. And so, marriage in the biblical sense is when the man and the woman come together and begin that bond, begin that relationship with the intention of going throughout their entire life. Now, modern day marriage is a little bit, I mean, it still constitutes the same thing, but there's some more legal things surrounding it, like certain tax things and bank stuff, and it's not just a relational thing, but there's a social construct associated with it. And those are bigger words that I normally wouldn't use for youth, but to me, that's the easiest way of describing it. I don't know. It's not just a single thing in today's context. Now, in the Bible, it talks about being faithful. Being faithful comes up actually a lot in the Bible. And one of the commandments is don't commit adultery. What's adultery? Adultery is when you go behind your spouse's back and you have sex with another person. To put it simply, that's what it is. And then Jesus goes even further. If a man looks at a woman lustfully, in his heart, he's committed adultery with her. So, we see it there. Even if a guy looks at another lady with, lustfully, so, fantasizing, whatever, looking too long, in his heart, he's committing adultery against his spouse. Now, you might say, but I'm not married, so what does it matter? Well, one day you might have a future spouse, and you're already committing adultery against your future spouse, you know? But the biblical view of marriage is man and woman coming together, and in doing so, they show they're showing God's relationship with us as a whole, God's relationship with His creation. So, from there, we can look at what the Bible has to say about pornography. What does pornography look like in God's eyes? I don't know. Thoughts so far?
It's crazy to think that it's
Anything to add?
You are basically committing adultery, even if you weren't married, and it's just if you think about someone lustfully, it's that's already adultery. And it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Because it's sad, because I know, just in society, there's a lot of pressure to look a certain way, to dress a certain way, to be appealing. And if you don't look that way, you don't feel as appealing, and you don't feel like you are in that right body, the right hair, the right color, the right eye structure, anything. And then it's just that's sad that it's just society has put it in a way where people feel like they have to look appealing and almost lustful in order for them to be loved or to be even looked at. And it's almost if someone lusts over you, it's you've achieved something. And it's so crazy that that's how it is. And it's it's sad because that's not realistic, and everyone wants what they don't have. Someone with straight hair is always going to want someone with curly hair, and curly hair is always going to want something with straight hair. And it's just there's never a win-win. And it sucks because it's like there's these restrictions that a lot of people can't get over, because it's like that's what we're trained to feel like, or trained to look like, you know? And it's just, it's rough, because I know how hard it is to not look at someone and be like, oh, I just want to be that person's girlfriend or boyfriend, because it's like, yeah, you know, it's just like that excuse of like, well, how do I not do that? Or how do I not find that person appealing? And how do I not find that person sexually appealing if that's just, you know, like it's very hard.
Yeah, it's funny, like, you brought that up, because, like, I've been noticing in music more and more that, like, there's something that it promotes, like, it's a good thing to look at somebody lustfully, or it's, like, a good thing to want somebody to look at you lustfully. And I'm just like, and we kind of confuse lust and love a little bit, where, like, love is a choice and lust is like a carnal desire. It's a desire that's like, that comes from us, and it's just like we want something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, specifically in like a sexual context, we want something like that.
Yeah. It's almost like they equal each other.
Kind
it's
of.
Like it's love equals lust.
And like in terms of like relationship stuff, it's like they're opposites.
Yeah.
You know? And so like we kind of like, and it's funny how we kind of confuse the two, when like one of them's so beautiful, but one of them's so like savage, I don't know, like in a way. Not in a good, savage, but not in like a good way. It's like something isn't right, and it's twisted and weird, kind of, you know?
It's sad.
Yeah. And so in talking about like, I guess in talking about like how God views marriage, let's go into porn. Porn. I mean, something that lots of people struggle with, something that I struggled with for a long time. And it's honestly like, it's probably been my biggest struggle throughout most of my life in terms of like dealing with sin and stuff like that. And it's something that I feel, I mean, I've talked about it before at youth, but I've never, I feel like I never talk about it almost enough, to the point where it's like this is actually like a big deal, and we got to work on this, you know? And so, yeah, porn, it's already defined. We already defined it as something that is made with the intention of sexually arousing somebody. And yeah, let's go from there. So why is it a problem? Because like lots of people believe that porn's actually not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's actually, it like, for guys, it's like, at least in my context, when I was younger, it was like, yeah, it doesn't matter so much because it releases that sexual tension in you, you know? So it's like you don't do things that you otherwise might do if you didn't look at it. It's kind of funny because because statistics show that if you watch porn, you're actually more likely to commit sexual or crimes of like a sexual nature, like, and be more violent, and as a guy view women as more like objects, not as something to be like equal with. It's kind of weird, like that, and so like in my life, I was just so addicted to it, and it is something that's really addictive. And it's weird how the devil uses things that, like sex that God made to be between man and wife, and something wonderful, and he creates such a twisted version of it. Because like, if you see porn, it's so violent. Most porn consists of domination of some sort, of like either gender towards one another. It's violent. It's for purely pleasure. on one party's side, I'd go so far as to say it's quite gross, actually, in quite a few instances. And I mean, there's a lot to be said about it.
Mhm.
But I don't know, it's just, there's so much to it that's really like, doesn't feel right to me. Yeah. Guys, any thoughts? You
Have,
do you
like,
have any thoughts?
I mean, like, I know I struggled. And ladies, don't be ashamed that, that it's only a guy's problem, because it's not. And that's what's sad, is that society thinks that it's not okay for girls to have the same problem. Like, no, it's almost like it doesn't exist, even though it does. And it's not very common that a female will talk about having a porn addiction of their own, because that's not something that's talked about, and that's not something that people think that it happens, and it does. Like, I mean, I didn't have like a very crazy porn addiction, but I mean, like, I would go onto websites, I would chat with, random guys that were way older than me, and and interact that way. And there was like, movie scenes, shows and stuff that I would, interact with. And it's crazy to even just think that, like, at that age, you don't, as a female too, to not even hear that there's other females out there that are struggling with it, and you feel so alone, and you feel so by yourself, because girls don't talk about it. Girls don't talk about masturbation. Girls don't talk about porn, and we don't talk about that. And that's sad, because it happens more often than you think. Because I think there's a study that I read, actually, that stated that on Pornhub, there is more females that interact with the website than there are males. I think there was like a 20% difference, and that's a huge difference. And it's crazy, because no one even thinks that. No one would even bother to understand that, oh yeah, females have desire too. And I think porn is even worse for women, because the type of porn that is put out there, it focuses on women as a very different manner. And it's like they have to be a certain way, or they have to sound and act and look a certain way for them to be desired again, like what I said, as lustful, and for it to be pleasurable, which is not true. And it's crazy, because it's just unreal that, women are taught to be powerful and to empower each other, but yet this industry crashes that. And it's like almost like it's contradicting. Like, women are supposed to be, fierce, strong, independent, and all of the amazing things, but yet the most busiest and most expensive industry in the world is porn. And yet that industry trashes all of that. And it just paints women as a very negative identity. And like, for me, I was struggling with that, especially sexually. Like, I thought that that's what I had to look like, and I thought that's what I had to sound like and be like, and it ruined who I was, and it destroyed me, because that's not who a woman should look like and be like. Like, she's more than that. She's more than just her body. She's her mind, spirit, and heart. And that's what they don't teach you in porn. And porn doesn't teach you anything, honestly, because it's not even real. And it's sad, because women at a young age feel that they need to be that way, and then they grow up, and then when they get into that situation, it breaks them, because it's like, wow, I'm not like that. And then it follows you everywhere you go, and you can't get those images out of your mind, because that is something that you believe is true, because that's all you see and that's the only thing you believe in, right? So it's hard for women. I'm not saying it's not hard for males, but I think that women talking about porn addiction is not talked enough about, because it's about boys and how they need to release themselves, and it's okay for boys to release, but they don't realize that women need that same type of pleasure, and that women look for that same type of desire as well, and that they don't focus on that type of problem that women have. And it's bad, and it's so sad, because I wish I could tell my younger self to be like, you know what? Stop torturing yourself. Stop watching those things, and stop pleasuring yourself like this, because it's unrealistic. It's not something that you can achieve, and it's nothing you should try to achieve. And yeah, if I could just talk to every single young girl that's addicted to porn and that just interacts with porn, I would sit them down and be like, stop. You're better than this. This is not who you should strive to be. And this is not something that you need to worry about. Like, don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. And if you have those desires, I don't know. That's something that, you and God have to work through, is to try to take those desires by yourself away, like those one-on-one times with yourself, and try to pray with God to give you strength. I felt like that helped me a lot, because I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy to get rid of a porn addiction, and it's not easy to get rid of masturbation because it feels good. But reality, it's like a partner can never pleasure you the way you pleasure yourself, because your own body, and that's just not fair. It's not fair to your future spouse. It's not, because you're creating an addiction that is not supportive of your relationship. And I don't know. I could go on a whole rant. But
Well, let's hear from Carter maybe
yes.
a little bit.
Where do I start? I've suffered from porn addiction for over 10 years, and there's definitely days where it's a struggle, and to this day, it can be really hard. And the biggest thing that I face because I've had that addiction for so long is the thoughts, trying to capture every thought and trying to capture every little nuance, and holding it captive and trying to give it up to Jesus. That's probably one of the hardest things, and especially with an addiction that has manifested itself and has grown in size to a point where it feels like it's impossible to get rid of. It's not. It is possible. It's incredibly difficult. And having stuff like that, it changes your mentality, and it changes how you look at women. It changes how you look at yourself. It changes how you view the world and how you view sex. The only thing that I ever learned from porn was that women are objects, and that's the absolute opposite of what it is, the reality. That's God's child, right? That's not an object at all for me to use in any sort of way at all. And so it's hard. It was really difficult to try to shake that, especially since I found out over the years that it was a stress response, and it was a way of me escaping from whatever was going on in my life. So whether it was just a stressful day or things going on at home or escape and for me to bury myself into something other than me. And of course, because it feels good, it becomes addictive. All that dopamine
Mhm.
comes into your system, and it becomes addictive. And it's no different than any sort of drug at all. You might not be smoking anything or shooting anything up, but it still has the same chemical responses in your brain
Yeah.
that drugs do. So yeah, it's incredibly addictive, and it's incredibly difficult to get rid of, especially when that's where I learned a lot about sex, which is really sad because I wish when I was younger that the systems that, or not the systems, but the sexual educations that were taught to me were more in depth
Mm.
and
Mhm.
more, what's the word I'm looking for? More, I can't think of the word. Intentional.
Yeah.
Like more intentional and more, focused on scripture and focused on what sex is, what sex isn't,
Mhm.
why it's good, why it's bad, and in what context. Because the sexual education that I got was very, oh, don't do that. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. And it as a young teenager, it's like, but why?
Yeah.
But why? Why though? Why? What is the big deal? I don't understand. And then once I discovered it, it opened up this whole new world. And of course, I was, I think, 15 at the time when I discovered it. And it was like, you got the hormones going through, you
Yep.
got all of these things. And I wish somebody had sat me down and really gone in depth, answered all the questions that I had,
Mhm.
and trying to figure out what it is. And so the more we talk about it and the more that we're open about it and have discussions like this, the more it's going to take that taboo off.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that kind of bothers me sometimes, is that it's like there's such a taboo, like what Amy was saying, with women in pornography, as well as like just men in general in pornography. And it's really sad because the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it,
Mhm.
the chances of it decreasing is a lot better.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people feel shame, and that's the enemy's going to use that to
Yeah.
continue the perpetual cycle.
Mhm.
And once the secret that I've learned is that you have to break that shame. That Jesus doesn't see you as your sin. He doesn't see you as what you've done or the thoughts that you've had or anything like that. He's going to view you as his child no matter what, and he's going to love you no matter what. And it wasn't until I accepted that in my heart
Mhm.
that it became easier for me to get over it. Because as soon as I had accepted that, you know what, Jesus doesn't see me this way. He doesn't see me as my addiction. He doesn't see me as my sins. He doesn't see me as anything other than his child, as a blank canvas, as anything outside of what I think I am or what
Mhm.
the enemy is going to tell me that I am. As soon as I believed that in my heart, things started to fade.
Mhm.
And it became easier and a little bit easier. And it doesn't mean that it goes away. It still will kick in every once in a while, especially if you're, whatever your triggers could be.
Mhm.
That will come up, but it becomes easier because you know in your heart
Yeah.
where you belong, and that's with Jesus.
Yeah. I think like, oh, thanks for sharing, by the way.
Yeah.
And you as well, Amy. Thank you so much. I think like when we look at pornography, it's really important to understand pornography in conjunction with, or like pornography and masturbation. It's very important to understand why it is addictive. Because like, I mean, God made sex to be something between man and wife. God made sex to be something great. You know, it's yeah. And there's so many like little intricate things that happen during sex that in our bodies that like bond people with each other. And like Like the Bible describes it as becoming one with the other person. And so like when our bodies during sex secrete hormones like testosterone, in women, luteinizing hormones. Don't ask me exactly what those are. I just read a medical journal. Yeah, anyways. And stuff which like enhance sexual drive. And then there's stuff like oxytocin, endorphins. There is, I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff. But like, I really actually just want to mostly focus on oxytocin and endorphins, which are intended to bond things together. Like, for example, like when a mother has a child and she's breastfeeding, like her body is producing something called oxytocin, and it causes her to begin to form that motherly bond with the kid. And the same hormones produced by both men and women during sex, which bonds them together. And so like when you're watching porn and masturbating, your body's still producing those same hormones. And so what it's doing is actually you're bonding with your screen, with your phone, with your tablet, with your computer, whatever. And so like there's these things that God has put in place that when Satan takes and twists it and makes it ugly, it actually does more damage to us. So like, for example, like there's been cases of people who are addicted to pornography, or men who actually experience erectile dysfunction, where like later on when they do decide to have sex with like a woman, they can't, because their body is so used to the screen, it's so used to what pornography they're watching, that they literally cannot get sexually aroused by another, like an actual person, which to me is like really sad. It's so sad because, again, God made sex to be between husband and wife, but it became, what happened was it became like about the person and their screen. And that's just like the addiction side of things, and that stuff. But there's even like psychological issues, like Amy, what you were talking about, like just there's that anxiety that is linked to like, man, I'm not like this person. Like I can't do this. Like I'm not good enough. Or like, man, like guys only want to go after girls who will have sex with them, and that's all they want, which is not true.
But it also goes both ways too, because
Yes.
there's definitely times where, because I was watching a lot of pornography, I felt inadequate about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm not ripped like that guy, or
Yeah.
I'm not, fill in the blanks, right? It's like all of those things, and those things creep into guys' minds too. So it's just very damaging.
Yeah. And even like when, like, even if we think that, oh, well, yeah, whatever, it only affects me and nobody else, it actually affects the people around you because your behavior changes. You, like, oftentimes, especially with guys, they become, since their body's producing more testosterone, they become more aggressive. And, like, we're actually, like, more prone to assaulting people, to raping people, because of those hormones that are going on, that are like kind of flowing through our body. And that's a very basic way of putting it, but like research does show that people who watch like porn and masturbate to it, the statistics show that they're more likely to commit crimes revolving around sexual assault and such. Which is pretty interesting, but at the same time, like, really concerning. And so when it comes to, I guess, pornography specifically, how can we, because we talked about how God views sex, we talked about how God views marriage, how can we as a church kind of speak into that? Like, what do you guys think? Like,
I mean, I personally think that the more we talk about it and not hide behind, let's call it out and let's bring it into the light and call it what it is.
mm-hmm.
And let's not be shy to talk about it and to talk about it with your peers, right? I mean, if you're a woman, or talk to one of your other women friends, or if you're a man, talk to another guy, and just be honest with each other and be open and expose it so that it's out there and it's no longer taboo to talk about it. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing too is that, if somebody is going through a struggle with pornography or masturbation or whatever it is, to be there for them and not to judge them, to just listen
Mm.
and to just support them. And
Mhm.
that's one way that I think that the church overall, no matter where they are, I think it needs to go in that direction, is that we need to just start talking about it and be open about it and not be shy to
Yeah.
be like, I struggle with pornography, because it's like, well, it's not that uncommon.
Uh-huh.
It's incredibly common. It needs to be talked about so that we can take the shame and take the guilt off of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that, like, even once you start taking off the guilt and the tabooness of it, I think, people will start asking more questions. Because I feel like growing up, I only felt the shame and the guilt of it all, but I never felt okay to ask questions about it, because it's like, well, I shouldn't be thinking about it, I shouldn't be doing it, so why should I be allowed to question about it? And I think, I know it's going to be hard, but I mean, like, if you have someone that you trust, like your youth leader or, someone older that you spiritually look up to, and you're curious about it, ask questions about it. I mean, like, if you could ask questions on, like, your mental health, like, why can't you ask questions about your physical health? And also, that is related to your mental health as well. So it's like, if you trust someone and you're genuinely curious, like, don't be afraid to ask, because that saying, there's no dumb questions, there really isn't any dumb questions. Those questions help you understand and help shed some light on some of the things that people don't normally talk about. And I think the more you ask questions, the more people will realize that this is something that needs to be talked about, and that helps move forward of, like, it not being so taboo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that is a huge one for me, because I wish I had the guts and I had someone that I could ask questions about sex and about porn and about masturbation, because
Yeah.
I didn't have the guts, and nor did I have anyone that I felt confident to talk to about those things without feeling judged. And I think that's something that we need to have.
Yeah. I think, like, something that really helped me, it's kind of funny, because, like, pornography, a lot of it's, like, about me. It's about my gratification. Like, it's all about, well, me. But, like, when we choose to follow God, He asks us to die to ourselves. He asks us to give up ourselves so that He can come in and He can be the one that's like glorified. And so, like, I mean, the Bible puts it like this in 1 Corinthians 6:18-20. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You're not your own. Like, Paul says it right there. You are not your own. Your body doesn't belong to you anymore. For you're bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. And it's just like, I mean, when we look at the Bible, we see, like, from the Old Testament, we see God residing with like the Israelites in something called the tent of meeting, and then it goes to the temple, and then Jesus comes to earth and he resides with like his creation and as a human, and then from there he goes back to heaven, and God sends his Holy Spirit to us, and when we choose to follow Christ, he resides in us. We have literally become the temple of God. And so like when we look at porn and masturbate, it's like we took something holy and threw it in the dirt. And while like that's like a pretty, I mean I know like that's a pretty like intense way of saying it, but it's true. I mean like, and it makes me so sad because when I look back on the times I've done that, I have to think, I'm like, God, I'm sorry. Like I took your creation and I defiled it. And not only did I do that to myself, but like we said earlier, it affects our future spouse. So if one day I got married, it'd be like me committing adultery against the person who I married. And me sinning against them. So not only am I sinning against myself, I'm sinning against God because I'm his temple. And then I'm sinning against the person who I will one day marry. And in looking at somebody with a lustful intention, I'm sinning against that person too. So I'm sinning against the person I'm watching on the screen. You know, that's like 4 directions in which like it's not only affecting me, but the world around me in a sense. And like and to think that I went into it thinking it was all about me and like the pleasure I could get from it. But like, I mean, our culture says it is all about you, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But God says no, it's not. Because I bought you with a price. I sent my son Jesus to die on the cross. He paid with his blood so that you could live. And when God calls us, he calls us to life. He brings us back from the dead and from what was broken. And so I think like when it comes to talking about, like you guys are totally right, we need to bring awareness to this subject, and we need to make it something that it isn't a taboo to talk about, so that people can like talk about what they're experiencing and feel loved by the community of the church and the people around them. I think that's so important. But with that, and you guys also kind of pointed this out, but like being able to talk to somebody trusted and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? And like praying with them and working with them in conjunction with God. James says this, is any among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up. If they have sinned, they will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. And it's just like, I think, like there's, when we acknowledge that, yeah, we sinned, and we go to God, that's awesome. But like when we sin, God also wants us to go to each other and be like, hey, like, can you help me with this? And as Christians, he wants us to bring them in and pray for them and make them feel loved, make them feel a part of a community, because they are a part of a community. They're part of this body of Christ. They're part of this family. And so, yes, porn is such a hard addiction to overcome. But I know, like, with Christ and with his people and being a part of that, like, he does set us free from that. We're no longer held by our shame, but he takes our shame and makes us bold. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think like something like that, I think that's so beautiful. And I think we're going to stop at porn today because we still need to get onto like comments and questions and stuff if people had questions.
No, I think people are just intentionally listening.
People are just intentionally listening?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And like,
I think there's like a lot to absorb.
I think so. I think there is too. It's like, because this is something that's really close to my heart. And I know I'm not like the most like expressive person today, but like this is something I really struggled with from like grade 8 to a little bit past grade 12 was just this serious porn addiction. And it affected how I viewed the women around me and how I viewed the world around me. Like, before I invited Jesus into like this whole addiction, it felt like everything was black and white. And so like when you're looking for that dopamine rush, that just to feel good, nothing around you feels good enough. And when like you finally are free from that, you can see, I don't know, it's like everything comes back to color, you know? You see the beauty in things. You get excited by small things again, and you feel free. It's the weirdest feeling, but it's such a, man, it's so satisfying. And like, me being unmarried, I'm excited to one day get married. I am excited to one day have that opportunity to be with my wife. And, you know, to me, that's exciting. And so, like, but it's not something I want to rush because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin that moment, you know, for my life. And while, to a certain extent, I have hurt myself in this, but I know I'm free because Christ set me free, and I don't have to feel shame. And that's something that's, I think, that really stops us, that stopped me from going to Christ, was that shame aspect. Like, man, like, why would he want to, like, take me back? You know, like, I've already had this conversation with him, like, a billion times already. Like, why would he want to take me back? Like, I'm just kind of, like, saying, like, hey, God, and then going and doing what he doesn't want me to do. And so there's that shame bit. But Christ is like, no, don't be too ashamed to come to me. You know, like, come to me. I'll take your burdens. He says that, the Bible says his yoke, so like his yoke is light, his load is easy. And like in biblical times, a yoke would be like 2 cows or oxen would share this like wooden thing that went around their necks, and it forced them to go side by side and work a field before they had like tractors and stuff to till the ground. And they'd use oxen and like this like spike thing that went in the ground, and it pushed up the earth so that they could plant seeds and so that they could have healthy soil. And so God's saying, my yoke is light, my burden's light, my yoke is easy. And what he's saying is, come beside me. I'll help you. I won't fight you. Just come with me. There's no reason to be shamed. And I think like something, especially with like youth, I wish I had, like you said, I wish I had somebody to talk to. And I realized years later that I could talk to my parents about it. My mom was like strict, which is kind of funny, but like years later I realized I could talk to her about these things. That's weird, me being the son talking to my mom. And even my dad too. And so like, I think it's scary to talk to our parents, but I think really before we almost go to anybody else, that's who we should go to first.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like, I mean, our job here, I tell this to all the youth leaders, our job isn't to supplant the parent. Our job is to come alongside the parent and stuff like this, which is why we do conversations like this, you know? And so, yeah, I just would, for like the youth who are watching, I would really encourage you to talk to your parent about these things. Talk to your parent about porn. And it could be a way of being like, eventually being like, hey, I actually struggle with this. It doesn't have to be like, hey, Mom, I struggle with this. Just like one day, you'd be like, hey, Mom, like, what do you think about porn? Like, what does God have to say about it? What does God have to say about a lot of things? And just beginning that conversation. And parents, like, if your kid or if your teenager shows trust in you to ask these things, man, that's exciting. That's so exciting. That's such a huge blessing. And wow, that's amazing. And while they could be struggling with these things, being willing to walk alongside them, to pray with them, to show them that they're loved and that they don't need to act like what they can see, like that there's so much more to who they are than just an object or than just a bundle of feelings, you know? Like, man, God made like both men and women in his image, and together they make a whole picture. They complete that image. Because, men and women do have there are some differences in, behavior and biology, obviously. But, just understanding that is so special, and understanding that either person is wonderful and amazing and beautiful in their own way. I think that's super special. And so, I would encourage the youth to talk to their parents, actually, before they would talk to somebody like me. I would definitely encourage them to talk to, the leaders and myself, but, I think some stuff, leaving to the parents is only right and only fair.
Totally.
And it's funny how I'm going to leave it with this. I was doing some research for this, and something that kind of caught me off guard is the Bible says this about sex as well. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. And it's just God intends it to be equal. There's no greater person and there's no lesser person. There's no dominant and there's no submissive. It's both people are equals. Both people have the same say. Both people, neither can come into it as we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. No, it's you take into consideration the other person. And so, like I said, we're gonna stop at porn tonight. We'll probably talk about sex another night. But yeah, I know my conversation has been a little bit all over the place a bit, but there's just so much to talk about, and it's such a hard thing to put into one night. And there's so much to it that it's just I could talk about this for several weeks. There's just so much, and there's so many factors, and man, it all comes down to just God loves us.
Yeah.
Really, God loves us, and so we should treat other people the way God sees them, and God would want them to be treated.
Yeah, that's true.
Any last words before?
No, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Josiah wrapped that up pretty well.
I think all we have left to do is the draw, right?
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, since nobody really texted us. Come on, guys.
I think there is just a lot to take in.
There is a lot to take in. There is a lot to take in.
I think there is, yeah. I mean, if I was in your shoes, I'd probably be like, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah. I probably should have reiterated because it was pretty early on that if you had any questions, feel free to DM us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because we did want to keep it anonymous. So in case people were like, I would ask this question, but I don't want them to see my name on YouTube.
Yeah.
DM us, direct message us. If you have our numbers, text us. Yeah, we're not going to be like, oh, so-and-so said this, you know, especially if they said like, hey, I'm struggling in this area. How,
Yeah.
like, what's this? Or like, you know, so please feel free to message us even like during the week, because then we could just add this to our list of things to talk about too. If there's like things you guys want us to talk about, ask us. I love to do the research, love to sit down and look at what the Bible has to say about stuff. So yeah, with that, without further ado, we got, headphones.
You should do a drum roll.
Drum roll.
With your,
In the
no,
drum
no,
cage.
no. Like
Oh,
on
wait,
your,
I'm just gonna give this a
like, do you
shake.
have like a mouth drum roll?
So it's completely fair. Do.
There's drum roll happening. There's drum roll.
Ooh. Dade won.
Dave?
Dade is the winner.
Wow.
Dade is the winner.
Wah, 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 wah.
So, Dade, if you're watching, congratulations. If you're not, well, we'll let you know.
Well, I guess you. No, I'm just kidding.
Better luck next time, man. I'm taking these home.
Yeah,
Just
good
joking.
job.
Congratulations, Dade. You won these.
Wow.
We're going to play some Among Us tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. Crazy. So we got like a little video intermission. But before we go, I actually chose this video intermission based on a question we got last week.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's only like a minute long, so it's like super short. So, yeah, cue video.
The Hebrew Bible is a collection of scrolls written and assembled over a 1,000-year period by the Israelites, written in Hebrew. The first significant translation was done in Greek. It was called the Septuagint, and this translation was widely used among followers of Jesus. Jesus claimed that the story of the Hebrew Bible was coming to its fulfillment through him, and his followers wrote about this claim in a new collection of writings called the New Testament. They were written in Greek. These two collections became the sacred writings of Christianity, the Bible. There have been many translations of the Bible over time, and here are three important ones. The Latin Vulgate was created for the Catholic Church. The Wycliffe Bible first brought the Bible into popular English, and the King James Bible was created as the official Bible of the Church of England. The entire Bible is now translated into over 700 languages. The New Testament by itself has been translated into an additional 1,500 languages. This all makes the Bible the most translated literary work in human history.
I think that's the end. Sweet.
I'm actually excited for Among Us because I haven't played Among Us in so long.
I haven't played it. I think like the only time I really play it now is when we do it here. So,
Whoa, you pick a year? Why are you picking a year?
it made me enter my birthday. So now everybody knows my birthday. I'm expecting gifts now.
That's so funny.
So, as usual, we're gonna play. I think is it Mirror HQ? Trying to figure out. Yeah, it's that one. One imposter, 10 players. As usual, we're gonna play hide and go seek because it's very difficult for me to hide from you guys. And if I'm the imposter, you guys will know who's the imposter. So, yeah. So what hide and go seek means, no emergency meetings, no sabotages, and no announcing who gets killed. Player speed. Oh, wait.
Fun.
It was the vision. So vision up. There is no yeah, like I said, no calling out people for kills. And if you are the imposter, you kill somebody, please stay at the body till your timer's done. And it's just a race to see who could finish tasks versus if the imposter can get everybody. So, yeah.
Fun. I'm so excited. I haven't played this in a long time.
I think that's it. Ooh, Army Man. I'm guessing it's Alan. Hi,
It
Alan.
is Alan, I think, yeah.
Ha 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 ha. So. Da 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 da. Da na 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 na. Da na.
Whoa.
It's Cardi P. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Wow.
Da 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 da.
Are you done school yet
Nope.
for the term?
Oh no. I got till the end of April.
Oh,
Yeah, school feels like it's going long this year.
really?
Yeah, I feel like school usually ends around April 18th for me.
That's so funny. I can't relate. I'm sorry.
Are you done school for this year?
Yeah, basically, all I have is presentations.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, all my papers were done. That's why I took a week off here, because
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I gotta finish my papers.
well, that's good.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy that I'm over and done with it.
Yeah. I have pet. Josiah is lying. Why am
Where
I
is
lying?
everyone at?
Where is everybody? Nobody wants to join us?
I think it's because it's spring
class?
break, so everyone's just on holidays right now. So I feel that's the thing.
Well,
Oh, whoa, you could have there's a question. Oh, cool. They have advanced quick things. Cool.
What are you talking?
They changed up some of the things.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, you
Oh.
could there's those quick oh, I don't know if you'll see it on your chat room, but
Oh, there's quick chat things?
yeah.
Whoa!
Whoa, what happened?
I was looking at the questions.
Oh.
I didn't
Oh,
see those.
Josiah's the
Oh, I'm the
imposter.
imposter. Perfect. Oh, run away. Oh, I chose the wrong map. Poop. Oh well. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds because I saw Alan. Okay, I'm escaping. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'll go up there and help you guys, and I'll just stay there for a little bit so you guys can run away. Muppy. I totally, yeah. It blanked my mind. Okay, I'll go to the other one. Okay, I'll just stay here for a second, or two, or three.
I feel like Among Us is not a trend now these days,
No, it kind of died out a little bit.
which is sad.
Yeah.
It's such a good game.
Okay, now to find you guys. Oh, no.
Whoa.
Come here, Alan. Aha! Get wrecked, Alan. I got you. Oh, man.
Whoa.
Honestly, without the questions, I don't even know what to talk about right now.
I know, right?
I'll be honest. How's your week?
I feel like, oh, it's only Monday.
Oh, I saw a name. I saw a name.
I was gonna say, I feel like I had such a long week, and I'm like, wait.
It's only day one.
It's only day one, so
Yep. I got you.
can't complain, because,
I'm happy I finished taxes. I finished my
Oh,
tax
you finished
stuff.
your taxes.
Finished my tax stuff. Oh, I'm
Wow,
so glad. Actually, wait. I think I might have one more thing, but it's a small thing.
I feel
so.
like that's a huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh. I keep on pressing the wrong button. Go back here, Carter. Oh, I lost you. I lost you. No! Oh. That's so sad. No, you guys are almost already done.
I don't know.
No!
I'm struggling a little bit.
Oh, this is driving me nuts. I blame the map.
Oh.
That's what it is. No. No. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get it, guys. I got 1 out of 4, or 1 out of 3, and there's also not very many people. So it's just, oh yeah.
Yes. I was freaking out because I'm like, ooh.
Oh. Was I? Well, if nobody else is joining, we could end off a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I think that might be best. So, congratulations, Dade, on winning these sweet headphones.
Yes.
And we'll talk about sex another week because we just finished porn tonight. So, sweet.
It just sounds so weird.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to phrase it in a nice way. So yeah, thanks guys for joining us.
Yes.
And we hope you have a blessed week. You know?
Yes.
So, peace out.
Bye.
You're half of mine, and it's unrelenting chase. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation, until you